Welcome back, Rovers, to the third stage of the disaster trial for Virtual Crisis. And now we'll be facing against Fleurdelys. So for this stress module right here, I picked the one that says when Resonators unshielded, they take damage equal to 2% of their max HP. If you choose to pick the other one, when enemies are shielded, they take 30% less damage. Then your fight against Fleurdelys is gonna take a lot longer, especially when she has 500% HP. In addition, the first one, when Resonators are shielded, it works pretty well with the next stress module choice, the Fort of Despair Shield. So Fort of Despair Shield lets you gain a shield after casting your ult. The Fort of Despair Spear allows you to deal bonus damage against shielded enemies after your ult, but I feel that it's more useful if your Resonators are very well built and you're not relying on Trial Resonators. Trial Resonators already do not have that damage to cut through the shield, so you might want to focus more on survivability so that you can actually clear the trial. Then for the next stress module, I would pick the Resonators in the Realm of Resonance take damage to 2% of their max HP. Because if you pick the other one and Fleurdelys gain 10% of max HP, note that we will have to deal with that 10% that's stacked on top of the 500% increase in max HP. So you're gonna take ages to deplete her shield. So moving on. For the support modules, I'm using the ones they have recommended because that works really well with the Trial Resonators, which is Zenny, Phoebe, and Verena. If you're really confident in dodging and keeping the sustain up, you can use Spectral Rover. But I would prefer using Verena because she can heal more than Spectral Rover. One other thing that you want to note is that basically you want to stand within those circles other than the one circle that keeps moving around, unless you need resonance energy. Hello Rovers, Narrative Dragon here. I didn't really do a lot of commentary in this fight because I had to lock in, so here's my narrative voiceover of what's going on in this fight. So right now what you see me doing is charging up Verena's 40 gauge and also allowing Phoebe's special bar to charge up at the bottom so that when I swap into her, she'll have Absolution or Compassion State ready for activation. Then for Phoebe, after activating her Compassion State, I will just press the ult so that she will cancel the Compassion State animation and go straight into her Compassion. Then later on in the fight, you see me actually just dodging a lot more with Phoebe and doing the dodge counter so that she can go straight into the laser, and then after that do a special heavy right after. Then for Zenny, you see me try to use her skill a lot more often so that she can enter those parry frames and gain immunity on most of these attacks that will otherwise keep damaging my Resonators. Note how there's constantly a lot of projectiles, a lot of swords, and the lightning dropping down. Yeah, so apparently when these swords drop down, when the whirlpool first appears, there's one instance of damage, and then when the sword drops down, that is another instance of damage. So if you didn't dodge any of these, you suddenly take a whole bunch of damage, and then you just, well, your Resonator will just die. And I only managed to figure that out like after a while. So in this fight, especially if you're using Verena and Phoebe together, stamina management is very important because both Verena and Phoebe will consume your stamina to do their attacks. For Verena, because she needs to activate her 40 gauge to heal, you need her to jump up and do her melee attacks. Then when she does that, it consumes her stamina. For Phoebe, her special heavy attack also consumes stamina. So that's why stamina management is very important. So you will see me using Phoebe's skill later on to freeze Fleurdelys in the spot and as a way to get my stamina back. If you're doing this fight with Shroud Resonators, probably expect around 15 minutes of clear time if you're fast enough. Otherwise, honestly, I feel that it's not really worth it to if you are stuck with Shroud Resonators, because holy, they suck ass. Verena can't heal for shit, Jenny can't do too much damage either, and just in general it just feels shite. So you should only do this if you want the challenge or you're just looking to suffer. Because this fight can be quite repetitive, I'll be doing some time skips to save your time. So the next important part to know is this attack where Fleurdelys flies into the center of the arena. So what you see me doing here is hold down the E skill for Zenny, do 1-2 swing, and then after that dodge and go back to holding the E skill, so that I can do my dodge counter at the same time. And this is the, I guess, the best representation of what you essentially be doing with Zenny for the whole fight against Fleurdelys. You only want to do the next few parts of an attack, especially that big overhead slam, when you know that Fleurdelys is not doing any other attacks. Otherwise, you just want to utilize that 1-2 swing, because that's the time where Zenny will be immune to attacks. Any other attacks behind the ult, you should take damage, which is not that ideal, especially when you are using Shroud Resonator Zenny. So the only time where you actually wanna use Zenny's full combos during her ulti is when Fleurdelys is down, and in my opinion the safest time where you can use full combo for Zenny. But even then, still, you wanna watch out for the lightning that drops and the bunch of sword that drops around Fleurdelys every, I think, 15 seconds or so. And I think those are the important things you need to know for the first phase of this fight. The next phase is when Fleurdelys hits 20% HP and gains a massive chunk of shield, which is about 50% of her HP. So that's another whole lot to go through. At 20% HP, her attack patterns will also change. But before we talk about that, let's fast forward to that first. So if you made it this far into the fight, Fleurdelys hits 20% HP, especially with Shroud Resonators or whatever solo Resonator run you're doing, well done. This is probably arguably the hardest part of the fight, because she starts to get even more aggressive. She starts using her range attacks, and she'll have a new moveset and combos that's not seen in phase 1. So because she keeps using her range attacks, it'll be a lot harder for you to reach her, especially with Zenny, unless you actually go and use your Zenny skill to wait for an attack and parry the attack. Otherwise, I feel that this fight is very difficult for melee Resonators. And especially after you deplete her shield, you don't want her to hit you again, because she will gain 5% shield every time she hits you, which makes it even worse and makes her even tankier. So yeah, essentially in this part of the fight, remember to use Zenny skill 1-2, dodge and back to skill again. You only ever want to use a big attack only when Fleurdelys is not doing anything and you're absolutely sure that you're safe when doing that. Otherwise, play safe, use the skill, hold down the skill button. If she's not attacking, that's fine. Nothing, no harm done. If she's attacking, that's even better, because you blocked the attack. And that's pretty much the gist of this entire fight. Manage your stamina. You just cheese it with Zenny's skill parry, and you should be able to clear this, albeit with some difficulty. out of the 5 times that I tried, I remember falling to her in this phase like around 4 times. Hope you've learned something from here to help you clear this specific boss in the Virtual Crisis, and I'll see you in the next video. Enjoy the rest of this combat.
少し遊んでやろう。任せたよ。神の恩寵だ。迅速。風の息吹。この盾はそうもろく
任せてください。
同じ大勢だ。
気をつけましょうね。最初のご加護。一緒に戦おう。
風の息やわな攻撃だ。
痛いの飛んでけ。最初のご加護。
聖なる裁きを。
一緒に
切り裂く。
戦おう。
もうすぐ退勤時間だ。まとめてこい。さあ来い。来い。さあ来い。来い。さあさあこの盾はそうもろくな。
花よ。
やってこい。
進化をお見せします。今行く。最初のご加護。
聖なる裁きを。
悔い改めてください。神罰です。救済をもたらす青い鳥よ。はっはっはっ。一緒に
もろい。
戦おう。
さあこの盾はそうもろくな。いつまでもグズグズしてはいられない。はっ来い。聖なる裁きを。まだまだ。
任せてください。冷静に。日向ぼっこの時間ですよ。進化をお見せします。最初のご加護。静粛に。光の結晶よ。恩寵をお与えください。一緒に戦おう。答えてください。
切り裂く。はっもうすぐ退勤時間だ。まとめてこい。神の恩寵だ。来い。切りとかせ。
花よ。よいしょ。進化をお見せします。権限せよ。一緒に戦おう。植物だって生きてるんです。チャンス。最初のご加護。救済をもたらす青い鳥よ。インペラトルの名において。
やわな攻撃。少し遊んでやろう。来い。任せたよ。神の恩寵だ。来い。邪魔だ。どけ。
It's supposed to be a fucking RPG. What role am I playing? The fucking victim? Jesus fucking Christ!